I male, 32. Think my GF's female 30. Parents are making her reconsider our relationship because of my background. Throwaway because she knows my main. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. So I've been with Madison for a little over 3 years now. We met at my friend Jake's housewarming party. I almost didn't go that night because I had a tutoring session that ran late, but Jake kept texting me to come by after. When I finally showed up, most people were already tipsy and loud, and I was about to leave when I bumped into Madison in the kitchen. She was getting water because the wine was giving her a headache. We ended up talking for like 2 hours, just sitting on Jake's back porch while everyone else was inside playing some drinking game. For context, I'm a high school math teacher at a public school in our city. It's not the fanciest school, but I love my students and the staff is pretty great. The pay is, well, it's teaching, so you know how that goes. That's why I've been tutoring on weekends and during summer breaks for the past 5 years to save up for a house someday. I've been living with my college buddy in a 2-bedroom apartment that's decent but nothing special. Madison always makes comments about why I don't just get my own place. But apartments in our city are expensive, and I'm trying to be smart with my money. Madison works as a marketing manager at this regional firm. She makes good money, definitely more than me, and she's really good at her job. But here's the thing, her parents are rich. Her dad runs this successful financial advisory practice that handles accounts for rich people, and her mom comes from old money, as Madison puts it. I didn't even know what old money meant until I met her family. I come from a completely different world. My parents came to America from Vietnam when I was 6 and my brother was 3. They arrived with 2 suitcases and a few $100s. My dad worked as a janitor at night while going to community college during the day. He eventually became an accountant for a small business, which was a huge deal for our family. My mom worked at a factory and then later as a housekeeper for a hotel. They worked so hard to give us a decent life. My dad was taking night classes to get his accounting certificate when his English wasn't great yet. He would record all the lectures and then stay up till like 2 a.m. replaying them and writing down every word to make sure he understood everything. He did this for like 2 years. I remember waking up for school and seeing him passed out at the kitchen table with his notes, and then he'd get up and go to work again. My mom is an amazing cook. She sometimes caters small events to make extra money. When I first told Madison about this, she made this weird face and was like, "Oh, that's nice." Then later suggested maybe my mom shouldn't be working like that at her age. I tried to explain that my mom loves cooking for people and is proud of it, but Madison just said something about how her mom would never do that. That conversation has always stuck with me. Anyway, the reason I'm posting is because things have gotten weird lately. Madison and I have been talking about getting engaged. We've been looking at rings, talking about the future, etc., and I finally saved up enough for a down payment on a small house in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it's a start. Madison seemed excited at first, but after she took her parents to see the neighborhood last weekend, something changed. Last night, we were supposed to have dinner with her parents at this super fancy restaurant they love. Madison texted me last minute saying she wasn't feeling well and needed to cancel, but then her brother's girlfriend posted an Instagram story and I could see Madison and her parents at the same restaurant in the background. When I texted her about it, she got defensive and said I was keeping tabs on her and that she just needed some family time to talk about some things. This morning she called and said we need to reevaluate where this relationship is going and that maybe we've been rushing things. This is literally the opposite of what she was saying 2 weeks ago when we were looking at houses together. I can't help but think her parents are behind this. The timing with them seeing the house neighborhood and suddenly Madison having doubts seems connected. They've always been polite to my face, but I've caught these little moments, like her dad asking if I ever thought about going into administration to make more money, or her mom seeming surprised that I know how to use proper table settings. I love Madison. I really do. But I'm starting to wonder if our different backgrounds are a bigger issue than I thought. Her family regularly gives her expensive gifts. They bought her a BMW for her 30th birthday and pays for her to go on a fancy vacation every year. Meanwhile, I'm tutoring kids on weekends to save up for our future. The worst part is that Madison has never seemed to care about money or status before. But now I'm wondering if maybe she's just been tolerating my lifestyle, thinking it was temporary, and now that we're getting serious about a future together, she's realizing this is my lifestyle. I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting. But it feels like her parents are influencing her to reconsider things with me because I'm not from their world. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. Thanks for all the comments and support. Edit 2. Several people asked about Madison's behavior around my family. She's only met them a handful of times. They live about an hour away. She's always polite, but gets uncomfortable when my mom tries to serve her Vietnamese food or when my parents talk to each other in Vietnamese. She's made comments about how she wishes they would just speak English when we're around, which really hurts because English is their second language and they're more comfortable speaking Vietnamese with each other. Edit 3. No, I haven't confronted Madison directly about seeing her at the restaurant. After reading the comments, I'm planning to have a conversation with her tonight. Edit 4. For those asking about our future plans, we had talked about getting married next summer and starting a family within a few years. I've always been upfront about my career and financial situation. I thought she understood and accepted it, but now I'm not so sure. Now for the first update. So it's been almost 3 weeks since everything went down with Madison, and I'm staying at my brother's apartment for now. I guess I should say ex-fiancée. We never officially got engaged, but we were basically at that point. Anyway, a lot has happened since my last post, and I'm still trying to process everything. I tried to talk to Madison the night after I posted, like I said I would. I was nervous, but determined to just ask her directly if her parents had said something about me or our future. She kept avoiding my questions and saying things like, "It's not just about my parents, and there are a lot of factors to consider in a marriage," which honestly just confirmed my suspicions. We went back and forth for like an hour, with her getting more and more defensive. I finally just asked her straight up if she was embarrassed by me or my family. That's when she broke down, but not in a sad way, more like she finally stopped pretending. She said, and I'll never forget this, "It's not that I'm embarrassed by you, Evan. It's just that we want different things in life." I was like, "What different things? We've been planning our future together for months. We were looking at houses together 2 weeks ago." And she goes, "That's exactly it. That neighborhood you want to live in. It's just not where I pictured raising my children." I felt sick hearing this. The way she said it, like the thought of raising her kids in a normal, middle-class neighborhood was just unthinkable. The neighborhood is actually pretty nice. Good schools, safe, diverse, just not wealthy. Anyway, the conversation got worse from there. She started listing all these things about me that apparently have been problems for her, but she never mentioned before. How I refuse to look for higher-paying jobs. I love teaching. How my clothes aren't professional enough when we go out with her friends. Sorry I don't own designer stuff. How I'm too attached to my family traditions. What the frick does that even mean? How I'm not ambitious enough because I'm content with my teaching career. I just sat there feeling like I was meeting a completely different person than the woman I'd been with for 3 years. It was surreal. Let me give you guys some background that I didn't fully explain in my first post. My parents came to America from Vietnam when I was 6. They had literally nothing except some clothes and like $700. My dad initially worked as a janitor while going to community college, but after a few years, they scraped together enough money to open a tiny Vietnamese restaurant. It wasn't fancy at all, but they worked 12 14-hour days, 6 days a week, for years. Eventually, the restaurant did okay, and they were able to send both me and my brother to college. That was their dream, for us to get educated. Madison's family is completely different. Her dad runs this financial advisory firm that only takes clients with at least $2 million in assets. Her mom has never had an actual job. She just organizes charity galas at their country club and sits on the boards of like 3 different arts organizations. They have a vacation home in Aspen and another one in the Hamptons. When Madison graduated college, they bought her a condo as a graduation gift. A whole-ass condo. I always knew we came from different worlds, but I honestly thought Madison didn't care about that stuff. She seemed so down to earth when we met. I remember on our 3rd date, we went to this hole-in-the-wall Vietnamese place. Not my parents' restaurant, lol. And she seemed genuinely interested in learning about the food and culture. She even asked me to teach her how to use chopsticks properly. But I guess the reality is she was okay with experiencing my culture, but never wanted it to be her daily life. Looking back, there were so many red flags I ignored. Like this one time at her 30th birthday party at her parents' country club about 6 months ago. Her dad made this toast that I still cringe thinking about. Her dad basically praised Madison's impeccable taste and judgment throughout her life. from her private schools to her career choices. Then he said while they sometimes wondered about certain choices she'd made recently, looking right at me, they trusted she'd make the right decisions for her future. Everyone laughed and clinked glasses while I just stood there feeling like complete shit. Madison squeezed my hand under the table but never said anything to her dad about it. I should have known then. Anyway, back to our final conversation. After she listed all my flaws, I asked her straight up if her parents had been pressuring her to break up with me. She denied it at first, but then finally admitted that yes, they had expressed concerns about our compatibility. Apparently, after they saw the house we were looking at, her dad talked to her about whether this was really the life she wanted, saying she was raised for better. He reminded her about their family trust and how she couldn't maintain her lifestyle on a teacher's salary. He even offered to set her up with the son of one of his clients who just made partner at some big law firm. I wish I could say I kept my cool, but honestly, I lost it at that point. I said some things I'm not proud of about her and her family being elitist and shallow. She started crying and said I was being unfair and that lifestyle compatibility is important for a marriage. She said she tried to make it work with me because she loved me, but ultimately she couldn't sacrifice her future children's opportunities by being with someone who was satisfied with just getting by. Just getting by. That's how she sees my life, my career that I love, the future I've been working and saving for, just getting by. So yeah, it's over. I moved out of our apartment the next day. It was her place anyway, I was just paying half the rent. I'm staying with my brother until I figure out what to do next. The house I wanted to buy is off the table now, obviously. I'm still in shock, I think. Like, how do you spend 3 years with someone and not realize they think your entire life and family are basically beneath them? I keep replaying conversations and moments from our relationship and seeing them in a new light. Remember how I mentioned in my last post that Madison made weird comments about my mom's catering business? There were so many comments like that. When I brought Madison to my parents' house for Lunar New Year last year, my mom spent days preparing all this amazing traditional food. Madison barely touched any of it, and later asked me why we had to eat on the floor. We were sitting at a low table, which is traditional. She also complained about my relatives speaking Vietnamese around her, even though they were making a huge effort to speak English whenever talking directly to her. I'm rambling now, but I guess I'm just trying to process everything. I feel like such an idiot for not seeing this sooner. 3 fucking years of my life with someone who was apparently just waiting for me to magically transform into the kind of guy her parents would approve of. Edit. Wow, wasn't expecting this many responses again. Thanks for all the support and advice. It really means a lot right now when I'm feeling pretty lost. Edit 2. To answer some common questions, no, I don't think I'll try to get back with Madison. Even though it hurts like hell right now, I can see that we fundamentally want different things. I deserve someone who values me for who I am, not despite it. Edit 3. A lot of people are asking about the apartment situation. Yes, I left most of the furniture since it was hers before I moved in. I only took my personal belongings. My brother has a spare room, so I'm okay for now. Just trying to figure out next steps. Edit 4. Someone asked about my teaching job. Yes, I'm still teaching and my students are actually helping keep me sane right now. Being in the classroom is the one place where I'm not constantly thinking about the breakup. Edit 5. To the people suggesting I should have tried harder to meet her expectations or that I should have been more ambitious, that's exactly the problem. I am ambitious. I work hard. I save. I tutor on weekends. I'm good at what I do and I make a difference in kids' lives. That should be enough. If it's not enough for Madison, that's her loss. Now for the second update. So it's been about 4 months since everything went down with Madison. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented on my previous posts. Your support and advice seriously helped me through some of the darkest days when I was questioning everything about myself. Things have been, well, life-changing, I guess. I know a lot of you were asking for an update, so here's where things stand. I actually closed on my own place last month. It's not the house I was originally looking at with Madison. It's a smaller 2-bedroom condo, but honestly, it's perfect for me. It's in this neighborhood that's way closer to my school, like 10-minute drive versus 30 minutes, and has this amazing diverse community that kind of reminds me of where I grew up. There's even this little Vietnamese grocery store within walking distance, where the owner already knows me by name, haha. The best part? I did this 100% on my own. No help, no cosigner, just me and my savings from all those years of tutoring that Madison used to low-key make fun of me for. "You work so much for so little money," she used to say. Yeah, well, that little money just bought me a home, so... Sorry, I don't want this post to be just me being bitter about Madison. I'm actually in a much better place mentally than I was before. After the breakup, I started seeing this therapist. Another thing Madison always thought was unnecessary, lol, and it's been really eye-opening. I never realized how much I was making myself smaller to fit into her world. My therapist pointed out how I would always downplay my achievements as a teacher because they weren't impressive enough compared to her corporate successes. I've also reconnected with a bunch of friends I had kind of neglected while I was with Madison. My buddy Jake straight up told me he had been worried about me because I stopped coming to our regular basketball games and game nights whenever Madison had some work event or family thing. I didn't even notice I was doing that. But looking back, I was always the one compromising my schedule, never her. Oh, and I started volunteering at this weekend program teaching math to immigrant kids. It's run by this community center near my school, and honestly, it's become the highlight of my week. These kids are so smart and eager to learn. There's this one boy, Min, who reminds me so much of myself when I first came to America. His English isn't great yet, but his math skills are incredible. Last weekend, he solved this algebra problem in like 30 seconds that usually takes my high school sophomores 5 minutes. Side note, Madison once asked why I would waste my weekends volunteering when I could pick up private tutoring for rich kids and make more money. Should have been a red flag, but I was too blind to see it then. Anyway, last month was my parents' 30th wedding anniversary, and my brother and I organized this small celebration for them. Nothing fancy, just family and a few close friends at my uncle's house. My dad made this toast that really affected everyone. He thanked my mom for being his partner through everything, leaving Vietnam, struggling in those early years in America, building their restaurant business, raising us, everything. He said something about how true love means finding someone who sees your struggles as their struggles, your dreams as their dreams. I couldn't help but think about how Madison never really saw my dreams as valuable. My dream of being a teacher who makes a difference wasn't ambitious enough. My dream of having a modest but comfortable home wasn't successful enough. My cultural background was just some exotic thing she could dip into occasionally, but never fully embrace. About 6 weeks after I moved into my new place, Madison texted me asking if we could meet for coffee. I was honestly shocked because we hadn't spoken at all since the breakup. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part needed closure, I guess. We met at this neutral coffee shop, not one of her fancy places. She looked different somehow. Not physically, but her whole vibe was off. Less confident, maybe. She started by saying she'd been doing a lot of soul-searching and had realized some things about herself and us. Apparently, her parents' perfect match, that lawyer guy they wanted to set her up with, turned out to be a complete narcissistic jerk. They went on 3 dates before she couldn't stand him anymore. She told me he seemed perfect on paper, but had no substance. She then told me she'd been raised with certain expectations, but was now questioning everything. She talked about feeling empty in her job despite the prestige and money. She mentioned missing my family's warmth compared to the coldness of her parents' social circle. I think she was trying to open the door to getting back together. She kept saying things about not appreciating what you have until it's gone, and how people can change while giving me these meaningful looks. And you know what? For like a split second, I actually considered it. 3 years is a long time to just throw away. But then, I remembered how she described my career and lifestyle as not good enough. I remembered her embarrassment at my mom's cooking and my family's traditions. I remembered her dad's toast at her birthday party and how she never stood up for me. So I just told her I'm glad she's figuring things out for herself, but we want fundamentally different things in life, and that hasn't changed. She started crying a little and asked if we could at least try again now that she understands better. I just couldn't. Maybe that makes me stubborn, but I don't think you can come back from someone revealing they think your entire life and family are beneath them. I wished her well, paid for our coffees, and left. Haven't heard from her since. So that's where I am now, living in my new place, focusing on my teaching and volunteering, spending more time with friends and family. I'm not dating yet, honestly not ready for that, but for the first time in months I feel good, like I'm living as myself instead of trying to be someone I'm not. My mom keeps bringing food over to fill my freezer, even though I tell her I can cook for myself. But let's be real, her food is way better than mine. My dad helped me hang up shelves last weekend and kept saying how proud he is of me buying my own place. My students made me this card congratulating me on my new crib, their words lol, with all their signatures. I think what I've learned from all this is that when someone shows you who they really are and what they really value, believe them the first time. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up again. Thank you all for the supportive comments. Edit 2. To everyone asking if I regret turning Madison down for a second chance, no, I don't. Someone in the comments said she didn't have a change of heart, she had a change of circumstances, and that really resonated with me. If the lawyer guy had worked out, would she have ever texted me? I doubt it. Edit 3. Several people have asked about my finances after buying the condo. I'm doing fine. The down payment was smaller than what I'd planned for the house, and my mortgage is actually less than what I was paying in rent at Madison's place. Plus, I'm still tutoring on weekends when I'm not volunteering, so I have some extra income. Edit 4. To answer the person who asked if I ever met Madison's brother after the breakup, no. I haven't had any contact with her family. Her brother did send me a short text saying he was sorry things didn't work out and that he always thought I was a good guy, but that was it. Edit 5. Thanks for all the kind words about my teaching and volunteering. To the person who suggested I start a math channel on YouTube for immigrant students, that's actually a really cool idea. Might look into that when summer break starts.